to the flag of the United States of
United
America,
States of America, and to the republic
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Can we have roll call, Kelly?
Cheney,
Here.
Menuda, O'Donnell,
here.
Sassy,
Here.
Sierra, we know Joel's here. There he is. Stegenga,
Here.
Tortel,
Here.
and Riskevich.
Here.
Okay. 7 present, 1 absent.
Okay, first up, we have Bill Fioravanti, Director of Economic Development for monthly update. And everyone should have received the update he provided with the agenda. So Bill, you want to go ahead and
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. It's unfortunate we're not in person yet, but hopefully we'll get there soon. We're all still managing as we can here. I think the departments I've been working with, I have to say, everyone's been working pretty darn well remotely. So we've been pretty effective despite these challenges, though many of us are returning to the office now. I think most of you, got my report. It's a pretty comprehensive report, so I'm absolutely happy to answer any questions on any of it. Otherwise, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. Actually going to highlight a couple of things that are not on the report. First of all, just talking about reopening, that is in the report. We are now, of course, in phase 2 as of last Tuesday. June 23rd is phase 3. So right now we have restaurants open outside dining, of course, and beverage service. We have our salons and barbers open. There's a lot of businesses we talked to during this crisis that were really hurting. Next phase, we'll open up our restaurants inside, open up tattoo parlors, estheticians, some of that personal care service, massage therapy, things like that. Some sectors are still unknown, like gyms. We're certainly getting a lot of calls. I know Amanda and I both have been getting many calls, and I won't say death threats, but really upset people that are just, especially because they don't even know when they're going to open. So some of that's still not certain. So it's been challenging with the state because the information has come out in drips and drabs all the time. We're constantly waiting for it and just trying to get it out to folks. We're hearing about things sometimes from some of the businesses before it's official with the state. We're hearing various, rumors out there. So it's been a challenge, but we're shifting now to certainly a more positive time. A lot of what we've been doing, you may see on the county's Facebook page the last week or so, is we're trying to promote businesses that are open, or the fact that businesses are open. And we're trying to show pictures, not just of staff in PPE, but customers out there actually patronizing businesses, because we're pushing buy local is more important than ever. And it's vitally important for the consumers out there, our communities, to help patronize their businesses. And we also need them to play by the rules so we don't get shut down here also. But we're trying to help the businesses be ready to open. We've been helping them with their safety plans, helping them with any resources they might need, also helping them with PPE. I'm sure most of you know that the Orange County Chamber, we partnered with the Orange County Chamber and certainly our General Services Department to use the buying power of the county to help local businesses acquire and stockpile PPE. Again, we've been doing it through the chamber. They've been kind of the funnel for businesses to come in and be a part of the program, and we've had a few orders of that successfully already. So that's an important way that we're supporting folks. Before I move on, any questions about reopening? Who opens, who's not? Any specific concern or question you may have? I wanted to be able to answer those.
Paul, I've got one.
Yep.
I've got one also.
Yeah.
All right, Barry first, and then Jimmy.
Thank you. Bill, on the restaurant reopenings and the outside seating, have you been in contact at all with the Department of Transportation relative to closing down parts of main streets that are state highways that would allow, by the closure, would allow seating to be placed both in the street and along the parking meter spaces?
I have not buried nothing with DOT and really haven't been involved with any discussions about using a state, right away or something. Really, it's been I've talked to the city of Newburgh, we talked to the village of Montgomery, of course, the mayor on here about streets that are really within the municipalities.
Well,
Jurisdiction.
the Village of Warwick's making an application now, and it seems to be pretty straightforward, but I was just curious as to whether the county had done anything to kind of make the process easier. It seems like it's going to go pretty well.
I have not, we were waiting for, and certainly the county executive was waiting for some of the directives to come out of the governor's office. What they did with the SLA made things a lot easier. We're kind of waiting now for some sort of blanket order that would make it easier to ease zoning and code kind of restrictions, really, to make it easier, because otherwise local municipalities, at least it varies by municipality, but it seems like they have to pass their own law or temporary resolution to allow some of the easing of regulations, because it's the municipality needs to be on board as well. It's not just SLA. Maybe the mayor can speak to that, but
yeah, no, definitely the municipality has to be on board. But the state liquor authority is part of the process, because right now most businesses have it for the interior of the premises and don't have the ability to sell liquor in the middle of the street, obviously. So they've got to go through a process that would give them permission from the state liquor authority to do that. And it seems like it's something that's an encouraging opportunity for our municipalities to involve themselves in, to try and give these businesses the best chance they can, the restaurants, to get back in the swing of things.
Agreed. Would you like me to reach out to Michael Newhart just to touch base and see if there's anything we can do or be aware of? Or?
I think for now it's good. Our application should be going in sometime this week, and we'll see how quick DOT turns it around. But it seems like they're gonna be in a position to move things rather quickly. Thank you.
I kind of didn't catch that whole thing. Let me just ask something, Chairman, if you would. Last week, the Village of Montgomery passed, we waived the street, permit process, and some businesses were takers in it, but just a few with having tables on the sidewalks, as long as they didn't block, complete walking back and forth. But, I know Wardsburg Inn, I ate there last night. They have a tent up outside, and a few other businesses have, Copperfields has a tent outside as well. But it seemed to have gone smoothly. We passed it last Tuesday at a quick meeting. So I don't know. Are there any other questions of what we did here?
Do you have to kind of renew that resolution after a certain amount of time?
I think I forgot what the time frame is now, but we do have to renew it, and we can do that.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, I got Jimmy O'Donnell and then you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So I got two other things, but one to stay on this subject. I was out in Long Beach, Long Island this weekend, and I drove back to go some Saturday night, 9 o'clock. Every bar was packed on the sidewalk. Every single bar, and that place is hopping.
This is Long Island, you're saying? Not back here in Goshen.
They must have some local ordinance in the city of Long Beach out in Long Island, because there was even places that don't serve food that had tables and chairs outside. And I'll tell you, it was just like it was midsummer. It was packed. And the other thing, and I didn't hear this directly, but one of my daughters told me something about the governor. I know he was upset with the Hamptons and talked about the open container law. So you can't have it both ways. Either the SLA is on board with letting you drink alcohol out on the streets, or they're not. So I don't know exactly. Maybe you can clear that up for us.
Yeah, well, first of all, let's talk about kind of demand in the market. I tell you, when I went out over the last 4 or 5 days, I'm seeing a V recovery was I'm looking at. The demand is amazing. People are out there. You
Right.
all know I live in Newburgh. I went down to the waterfront on Thursday. They didn't, again, as I said a minute ago, I've been around taking Amanda as well, taking pictures of different municipalities, businesses that are open. Tried to do that in the waterfront on Wednesday, and they weren't yet open. They were all gearing up for Thursday. Then when I went down Thursday to check it out, it was mobbed. It was unbelievable. Even those upper parking lots, all but one was full. This is on a Thursday. So I will say that a lot of people were walking around Front Street and such without masks, and I haven't seen masks in hand. So you know, I get, and I'm not the mask police. I'm not, you know, I'm not looking to do that. I just want to make sure we don't fall into the same situation, you know. So so I think the demand, just from what I've seen locally, it's enormous. And around this weekend, around spots, Liberty Street and such in Newburgh, checking that out, very, very popular. Newburgh also is looking, one of the municipalities looking to close off their street, that being Liberty Street there. I'm a little worried. Some of you know I'm involved with the Newburgh Illuminated Festival. I'm worried that it's going to look like that when they close it off. You're going to have people standing everywhere. I mean, to be clear about the regulation, you certainly can be outdoors if there's no fixed roof. Amanda and I have been trying to, there's different interpretations of some of that law. But let's say, you know, if you're outside, you still have to be seated either at a bar type, you know, situation or at a regular table. You can't be standing in between. So, you know, some of the open container stuff could be around that where it's people standing there, but the SLA allows the extension of your, it's very clear. It's the extension of your liquor license really to extend into the outer premises. And if it includes public areas, which is in there, it is absolutely included that it says if it includes a public space, you need to get the go ahead from the municipality. But I mean,
Right.
you know, it should be there. There can be municipal laws barring that, and that's part of what we're talking to here. And they have to be lifted by the local town board or village board, city board, council, whatever it might be. But
Well,
they should be open.
it
without
appears
problem.
people are just fed up. So they're going out. If
They are.
if you give them an inch, they're going to take a yard this time. They're
That's
just
definitely
fed up.
true. I do argue that it's not that hard to put the mask on as you go in between. I know no one likes it. Who does? But you get to your table, you can enjoy.
The last 2 weekends in Long Beach, right? So on the boardwalk, there's a sign. There's about 5 or 6 things they tell you to do, one of which is wear a mask. So 2 weeks ago, probably about 65% of the people were wearing masks. Saturday, 10%. Yeah. And it's crowded. You know, it's a wide boardwalk, but people are just not going to start paying attention to a lot of this stuff anymore. These things, all right? Senior centers, I'm getting calls from Bonnie here in Goshen. You know, they want to start up the exercise classes. She's getting bombarded every day. I says, you're probably in the same category as gyms, which is phase 4. So if you hear anything different on that, let me know. But for
right now, fitness classes, group exercise, all that stuff is lumped into gyms.
The July 6th, I think is
7th, is it?
something.
I think it's the
close
Tuesday.
enough. Right. Then I also got a call from the G&M Riding Club in Port Jervis. They got some people here in Goshen about horse shows and wanting to open them. I'll give you the phone number of the guy,
Please.
Jay Samuels. I'll call you offline.
Okay.
That, just if you can give them whatever information you got on
Sure.
doing some horse shows.
Yep.
That's
Hi, my question is going to be regarding the municipalities or the ones that are allowing the outside dining. That is only contingent on the governor's order. So right now the municipalities are passing temporary permits for people to do this, but they're not passing through the zoning or the planning departments. And
Correct.
there's been a lot of requests for some of these businesses to be able to stay open all summer long, rather than just when the governor decides to either re-up it or not re-up it, which would mean that if they do that, that the municipalities cannot supersede that and they would have to shut everybody down. Are we working on anything for Orange County where we can municipalities to continue outside of that?
Well, there is the overarching issue of the SLA, the State Liquor Authority, and them allowing that extension. If you want to allow businesses to still, say, close off a street in Warwick, let's say they close off Railroad Avenue, you still want to allow businesses to be able to serve out there. They have to get their, once this expires, they have to get the extension of their liquor license through SLA, through the normal means. That takes at least a month usually to do that. So that, I don't know if I'm answering your question properly, but that dictates that as well. They need, once that SLA, the extension of this executive order is lifted, then it's back to normal rules. Just because the municipality says it's okay, you still need to get your liquor license to comply with that.
Correct,
You know,
and I agree with that. So is that something that maybe we should be working on now? Because it does take that month time, and if not, all these businesses should really probably start trying to at least adhere to what the planning and zoning would be so that they could apply to stay open.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of, and maybe you're saying this is one in your area, but I don't know if a lot of municipalities are going to keep this going afterward, if they're going to keep a street blocked off, but if they do, then it's between the municipal board and the planning board. I think they do have some work to do to ready for that. Yeah, it's not just like some simple executive order. I think then they have to go through the normal process to change the zoning and such.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, let me know if you ever want to talk about that stuff. I definitely can work on that. Sure, get you other answers.
Okay, any other questions for Bill in regards to reopening? Nope. All right, Bill, you want to continue?
Thank you. I thought maybe you'd go right to Amanda. So thanks for remembering. I was just that part. So any other questions by the way, on reopening, helping a business? I've heard from so many of you. Please keep that up. Call me anytime. Amanda's the same way. We're all fielding these, even if it's just, hey, I know someone, I have a friend. I don't care. We want to help anyone that anyone knows that needs it. I will also mention that I think I said this in the report. PPP money is still out there, incredibly. It sounds like over $100 billion still. It's a lot of loans left to be given out. Some banks are done. Some are now opening it up for businesses who are not their own customers. Sure, you've heard that, mostly because of the influx. Most banks are only dealing with their own customers. Now some are starting to take applications from others. And I'm going back and calling some folks that were struggling because their bank didn't lend and try and give them a couple options to look into. So I want to mention that as well. That's important. But otherwise, again, things are more positive right now. And hopefully we don't go backwards. But if we keep moving forward, then things are looking good. Also want to plug this webinar series that we've been putting on. Trying to give people practical, small businesses especially, practical information and tools to help them during this strange time. We did stuff on loans and financing. We did one on pivoting, changing your business during this time. We have one tomorrow at 2:00. We changed the day and time for better attendance. Tomorrow, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. The theme tomorrow is on e-commerce, so helping companies learn how to set it up for themselves to be able to do business online. And Lincione from the Orange Chamber is going to do a little bit highlighting a platform that they're working on that would allow companies to use their platform rather than doing e-commerce themselves. So I should also mention that we launched the social media accounts for the Office of Economic Development. I had waited on that for a while, but pushed it up now that this was all going on. We needed to get information out there. So it's easy to find on Facebook. It's Orange County Economic Development, easy to search it. Please like it and follow it. Obviously makes sense for this group, but that's also where you'll find all the notices on the webinars and where you'll be able to actually access that as well. So I want to mention that. Let me move a little more quickly here. Next, RFPs. You all probably know before me, but RFPs on Camp LaGuardia and on the Grand Street Newburgh property is going to be coming out shortly. I've been on a number of calls and reviewed a number of drafts for the RFPs for both. So they are the pedals to the metal on trying to get those out. So you should see those before the legislature to approve in the next week, is what I'd say on both those. Okay, and at the end, maybe stop me on any other questions. Let's see, what else did I do? Foreign trade zone. Just really quick on that, it was on the back burner a little bit, trying to really put the focus back on that now because I need to keep it moving. Something we've known about for a while is we're losing one of our clients. It's a company called Xylem. They're downstate. They distribute water pumps, basically. I knew this before, right when I took this responsibility of FDZ over. I knew they contacted me and said they were looking to change their FDZ to one near them. They're in Cayuga County, and they're going to be part of the Onondaga County FDZ, which is right next door. We knew it was coming, but it did happen in the last couple of months. I've been working on a number of prospects, as you know. We have one that I think is going to close actually in the next couple of weeks. Another downstate company, distributor called JJS. I'm hoping that they come on. It looks really good. So unfortunately, it's a net wash right now, but at least, you know, losing one, we're kind of in the same place, and we can just focus on bringing in new ones. So again, you know, more focus on FDZ, and we do have activity there as well. Last thing I want to raise was a dairy farm issue. I'm sure Paul's aware of this, and we usually talk about this stuff on the side as well. But BOCES, our Orange Ulster BOCES here, handles the bidding process for most of our local school districts when it comes to food service and milk, for example. BOCES just handled the bid for so many local districts. And I did end up speaking with them because someone from the farm community, it was Phil Johnson, Paul, who contacted me first, but there's a gentleman named Andrew Wohl who works for a company called Hometown Distributors. Their closest office is in Rock Hill here. They were bidding on these contracts, as was Sinan Farms, which is closest locally in Poughkeepsie, but it's all milk that comes in New England. That's where it's all sourced. Hometown, this guy, Andrew Wohl, they get most of their milk from Midland Dairy, which is the distributor and the processor that our local milk goes to. They're buying it all right now. We've reported this before. It's not under contract, unfortunately. They stopped buying for a short while, and that's why our dairy farmers were spilling milk. But they've been buying it for several weeks now. Again, not under contract, but Midland has been buying it. So both Phil Johnson, who represents our downstate coalition of dairy farmers, he's the one that deals with Midland, and he deals with Hometown, and they were looking for our help to help school districts understand, school boards essentially, that the milk, it's not just on price, that where the milk is sourced matters. So we want to find a way to communicate to them, saying that, you know, one vendor does source milk locally and the other does not. Keep that in mind. We can't tell them who to choose, but give them that information. And there's also grants that are available that I learned through this process that the school districts can very easily apply for. And if they're sourcing milk from New York, they get a big discount, actually, get kind of money kicked back to them. So when I spoke to BOCES, it took a while to get to the folks that were managing that bid. Unfortunately, it seemed like there was nothing we could do this year, that the RFPs were written in a way where they could only buy on price, basically. But it's something I want to raise and something I like to talk about more. And Paul, I'd like to talk to you, continue this conversation, because I think for next year, we can play some sort of advocacy role to try and promote our local dairy farmers through this and help BOCES and the school districts independently be able to develop RFPs that are a little more friendly and at least open up the door more for local dairy farmers. There's not much we can do for these farmers. That's the frustration we all have, working ideas of local processing plants, things like that. Nothing is a quick fix and nothing is really easy, but this is an example of something we could advocate for that it sounds like indirectly could help secure the supply, our flow of milk upstate from our dairy farmers. I don't know, Paul, if you want to chime in, if you've been too involved.
Yeah, I was just wondering, have you contacted anyone with the school board association? Maybe we get into the schools that way.
You know, I haven't actually. My way into that was going to be through Bill Heck, the superintendent at BOCES, because he has meetings with them usually, in person. Now I imagine they're doing calls like that. I thought maybe I could speak at one of those meetings that they had. But School Board Association, I've never gone straight to them. Do you know how I find out? Can I just Google that? Or?
I would think so. I don't know who's involved there, but Bill Heck would probably know. He's
if I don't have the opportunity to do that, either I may do both. I try and communicate with him and then see if I could use the School Board Association, maybe sending letters or something like that. So I'd like to talk more about it. I'll report back on it. It just didn't work. It came in kind of in a hurry for us this year, and I don't think we were able to help anyway because of the way the RFPs were written. But it's a small way to kind of move the needle, at least, and help our dairy farmers. I'll keep you updated.
All right, I appreciate that.
That's all I had, actually. Unless anyone had any questions on any of that, Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
Okay, any other questions for Bill?
Chairman Menuda here. Sorry for being late. I didn't get the memo here. But I do have two questions. One, I understand from a farmer that milk was being dumped basically because of price and the ability to process. The other thing that came to my attention from a farmer was processing of beef and cattle, where there's not enough FDA facilities. And if you want to have your stock butchered, you have to wait until about February of next year. That's when you would be in the queue if you were to apply now. So not having enough facilities is something that we, as a county, I think we should look into to see if we can get another facility to be able to do that. I don't know what anybody else's feeling is on it, but that's the information that came from a farming constituent.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's a tough industry. I know Sullivan County, they went through a big, long effort. They built a slaughter facility and they couldn't get anybody to run it. So
Okay.
that's a challenging issue for whatever reason. But yeah, I know I've heard of farmers shipping cows to Vermont to be butchered. So.
And I've heard these stories too. It's certainly not an industry I have a lot of, familiarity with, but so I just like the dairy farmers, I have to learn from all these folks around me, but I'm willing to be a workhorse and do what we have to do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I've heard this has come up, and I've heard the same kind of challenges about slaughterhouses. Plus, no one wants a slaughterhouse near them.
No, that's another issue.
Another thing that comes up.
Yeah. You good, Joe?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, yep. Okay, well, if there's no other questions for Bill, we'll move on to, I'm sorry, was there another question?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I remember Marie Ulrich from Cornell Cooperative talking a few years back about the slaughterhouse up in Sullivan, and also looking into putting a milk processing plant somewhere here in this area. So that might be something, I know it kind of fell off the rails for whatever reason, but it might be somebody that we could in on this conversation and see where the Cornell Cooperative Extension is on that, and what happened.
I know Mary has been having regular updates with Bill, I think, and Amanda, and some other municipal leaders as well. So
she does,
those
for sure.
discussions are ongoing. Yeah.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I'll just add, this because you're part of the Ag and Farmland Protection Board, the planning committee, right, that we serve on. This has come up many times in that group. The idea of a study to look at a processing plant, the way Sullivan County did, that they've looked at that. We went to the Ag and Farmland Protection Board to have them consider funding that, and they were really against it at this point. After all this dialogue, all this talk, I think they didn't want to fund any more studies. So that was one of the more recent kind of dead ends we hit with that idea, because it does need some sort of feasibility study. You don't just come up with a plan and let's see if we can land it. I don't know if Chairman, if you want to speak to that as well, but that's kind of the last update on the milk processing thing as far as I recall.
Yeah, that's about as much as I know, Bill. So, yeah. So okay, with that, we'll move on to Amanda Dana, Director of Tourism, quarterly update. It's all yours, Amanda.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Well, I guess first and foremost, I hope everyone is doing well during this pandemic, and that's my first thing I want to say. And the other thing is, I believe maybe Bill has touched this on another meeting, but when this all started, the pandemic, my role was changed a little bit to more of an economic development person with Bill and Steve Knob and Lynn Cione and other folks. We became this economic development task force. So we all worked very closely to make sure our first priority was to connect the businesses to resources, not just tourism businesses, but all small businesses. And then slowly, as we got through this pandemic, we transitioned into, now that we're connecting them to the resources, how can we reopen, and how can we facilitate that and make it the easiest path possible? And as you can tell, and the frustrations with all of us is that there's a lot of inconsistencies with the terminology, with the way that businesses are handled. If this business should have permission, why shouldn't this one? If you can walk into Walmart, why couldn't you walk into here? It really got very, very, very confusing. A lot of phone calls, a lot of patient hand-holding through this, but also, Bill, you've been great doing that as well, and you took the brunt of all those calls. But lately, it seems like I got a lot of calls. But as we reopen, there is more questions, but rest assured, we are reopening, and hopefully this will be a safe transition. But I just want to start off with that. So I just want to talk a little bit about the tourism office. We worked remotely over this last 3 months. I can't believe I'm saying 3 months. During that time, we went through some transitions with our marketing. As you can imagine, right before this happened, we were getting ready to launch forward a family campaign, theme park campaign, family fun. And then the brakes went on. Legoland is opening next year. Everything changed dramatically. So we had to change our branding from our office. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know if you guys are getting that. But the new branding focused on wide open spaces and the great outdoors. That's where people's comfort zone was. That's where they feel safe. So those were the areas we were moving into. We developed new headers for our website, so when people come into our website, they would feel comfortable seeing wide open spaces in the country. Additionally, we thought it was important to create resources, and the 3 resources we created was Keep Calm and Carry Out. So what was that? That was when restaurants were allowed to stay open, but they were allowed to stay open as long as they had takeout or curbside. So we decided to come up with a list. We worked with the Orange County Restaurant Association to come up with this list, and we came up with this pretty thorough list of restaurants that are still in business to promote the local businesses. The second thing we developed was the Keep Calm and Find a Farm. We kept on the same theme, and we wanted to make sure that people knew that there's farms that have retail components, that just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean you can't go to a farm and buy your produce or your dairy. And we found that to be really effective. And that also lives on our website and was pushed out in other ways as well. And the last thing we just created was the Keep Calm and Eat Outdoors. So the trend of eating outdoors and outdoor eating is not going away anytime soon, even past the 23rd of June or the phase 4, which is July 7th planned for. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So we decided to, again, work with the Restaurant Association and other folks to get together with a list that's called Keep Calm and Eat Outdoors. This will be a list that you can go to on our website and say, I want to find an outdoor eating establishment. And you could find it there. It's a great resource. You can click right to their website or right to their Facebook page. And we found that to be something that I feel is going to live longer than just what's going on around us right now. So what else have we been doing? We created a welcome back video, which will be probably launching by the end of the week, I'm hoping. And what that is a small video that will bring visitors back, hopefully, to Orange County in a welcoming, country, wide open space, calm way. The key word is safe with a lot of these visitors, and it's the drive markets that we will be focusing on. So drive markets typically is about a 200-mile radius. So we're reaching into all of our New York metro market, which is still our most important market, but Philly, DC, and Boston. And we are going to be sending out this video to welcome people to Orange County, because again, since it's a drive market competition, I should say, because historically, we're pulling from all over. People are hopping on planes, trains, you name it. Now it's very much a drive market. So we find that we have to, talk with these visitors to have them stay in Orange County. So that's where we really got to get smart with our marketing dollars to really focus those initiatives to having them come here and staying here and feel safe. So that video will be out towards the end of this week. And of course, I'll send it right over to you guys as soon as I get it. We're pretty proud of it. And we are still working on our new website. So our new website will be launching in the fall. And we have a whole new layout for that. And I believe it was in your visuals that were attached to this report. But it's, I would love to say it's a fun process, but it's not the best process, because it's so, you have to be on top of the latest trends. And so it's been a lot of, getting our feet dirty and scratching in there and making sure we're working closely with our marketing agency. So that's what we've been doing on that front. So like I mentioned, we have marketing strategy changes. Our social media has changed. We're also been very busy with, as I mentioned, outdoors. We were busy with our National Travel and Tourism Week. We sent out a lot of social media around that. And a lot of our plans, advertising campaigns have changed. like our messaging at Port Authority, New York City has changed. We stopped our international visitor campaign. Stopped it for this year. Maybe continue next year, but right now we need to focus on domestic travel and drive markets. That's where we thought the best way for us to be focusing on. We're very busy with our public relations press releases. If you've seen them, we did outdoor water activities, scenic vistas, our carry out, keep calm and carry outs, keep calm and farm markets, and our outdoor dining. And we still are on WTBQ once a month talking about outdoor to our local markets. We had a change in our travel guide. I believe there was a report that went out a while ago showing you that we've changed from printed to digital. That is going to live live on our website this week as well. And we changed a lot about it. We had to change a lot about our advertising and our marketing because it had a lot of, mass gatherings and things of that nature. And you kind of had to tweak it a little bit, at least for 2020. I didn't know if the visitor was ready for that, but we had to make those changes. We also have a new map, which you might see in your visuals as well, which is a little different. It's not a road map and it's not to scale, but it's a fun destination map. And I hope you guys have all seen that. We're really proud of that one too. We tried to really highlight our attractions in Orange County. So that we will have available for you if you'd like to have it, to put it in your offices, to get it framed. We'll have those available very shortly. Lori got a couple of requests for that already. So, also while the pandemic was going on, we had a lot of press and writer inquiries, so travel writers and press, and we worked a lot with I Love New York and Finn Partners, and they were like at least 2 or 3 inquiries a week, if not 4, asking us, what are your attractions? Give us a story. Tell us something great. And we were constantly feeding because we wanted some to hit. And as luck would have it, some did hit. So we outlined those there. Like, for example, the scenic drives in New York was picked up by someone working with Finn Partners, and that was the upper Delaware Scenic Byway. Give Mom a New York gift basket or gift, and it was a book from Storm King Art Center. They highlighted that. Other things, Prima Pizza in Cornwall was picked up. They were picked up, but a classic foods that you could ship out. Bear Mountain State Park was also noted as the most Instagram-worthy places to see. So we were busy shoving all those out there. So you have to put a lot out there to get a very few come back, but we were very happy to get that many. So all that worked is success. We also
Amanda, can I just interrupt for 1 second? Chairman, can you ask everybody to mute their phones if they're not speaking because they're getting a bad echo in the office on the live stream? Sorry, Amanda. Sorry about that.
Okay. So we also did a podcast with Leadership Orange to talk about how the summer is not canceled. There's lots of things to do in Orange County. And also we were busy with Hudson Valley Magazine and sending them articles and information about some of our attractions as well. Worked a lot with Hudson Valley Tourism. This time for us to have this pandemic, we forced us to go into websites, make sure our listings are up to date, make sure the latest and greatest information is out there. So it really was a good exercise for us to be in those other websites. And that's Hudson Valley Tourism. That's travelhudsonvalley.com. A lot of our assets are in there. Some additional projects. We were pretty important in creating the Reopen Orange with the County Executive's Office. Gianna in our office actually created that. Also we were busy during this time making sure we kept moving forward with the artwork project. So by DMV, there'll be 4 large prints, which I believe are in your visuals. That'll be outside of DMV. That came through the collaboration of the clerk's office and tourism. So let's talk about a little bit of a brighter horizon because Lord knows we've all been down enough, but I thought a good indicator to let you know that things are on the rise would be talk about their Airbnb. And I connected you to that article. And that article I found to be fascinating because if you looked at the data from 2019 to 2020, you would think that, oh, it's going to be plummeted, but it's not actually, and that the 2-week window that they mentioned in the article between the end of May and June was 10% higher as far as rates of bookings. And that's pretty telling. Everyone thought that people were going to come to the areas and stay in the big brand hotels, when actually it was different. They're coming and staying in Airbnb, vacation rentals by owners, those types of places, which, by the way, we do collect a bed tax for Airbnb. So that's good to see. Our outdoor eating establishments are doing well. They're probably in a frenzy because they couldn't even hire enough staff, which is a whole nother topic about getting staff back and off unemployment. But they were very crowded this weekend. Like Bill said, the waterfront was booked solid Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and which I'm probably the only person was like, oh, I'm happy I can't get a reservation, right? But I talked to Michael Benora, and he said, Amanda, it feels like we're back in business. It was a great weekend. All over the county, it was great. I spent some time in Warwick, and they had a great crowd there. I went to Baleville Creamery on Sunday night. My goodness, they were crowded. Everyone online had masks on, but they were definitely crowded. And we're now pushing out a lot of local stuff, our lakes, lawns, and landings. That was cute. That came out from our office. We're just promoting the outdoor dining. City Winery will be opening this week, which is a great sign, on Thursday. And lastly, I want to talk about just tourism, and I'll get to film real quick, but we are still planning on doing a fireworks display in July. I believe it's July 18th. We're still working on that with guidelines. It'll look a little different than last year, but we're looking to do that. And our county executive is and us, we're trying to plan an air show. He feels firm that we can pull this off, and we're going to try to get an air show in by the end of the season. Film office, very busy, very, very busy. We are part of Production Bulletin, so we see what's going out there, and Nora's been hitting the pavement. Just to go quickly through this, you see the films, Dixie, Happy Place TV, North 6, Paranormal Activities, which is really big right now, paranormal movies, Love, Beth, and the major players, which are HBO, Netflix, and Paramount. They're all coming in here. I have several hotels doing RFPs, filling out RFPs for block rooms, like renting out the entire hotel for some of these productions. And I really, frankly, would like to keep them all in Orange County. And just a little secret is that sometimes they come here and they book the rooms in Fishkill, which I said, oh, no, that's not happening now. So we are definitely in the mix on those. And I feel like we are going to have a great season with productions. That is pretty much my report. Does anyone have any questions relative to what's going on in the tourism office?
Chairman, I do. Minuta.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, sir. So thank you, Amanda, for the update. I will say, we tend to get a lot of feedback from the Benoras with regard to hospitality and restaurants. I can tell you, I was down there. I was at Blue Point when they first opened up. There was an hour wait. I think the way they handled things was great. I can tell you that not all of the restaurants did open. Those who were paying rent down there did not open because they simply can't afford to open based on a 50% occupancy and the amount of cost to do business. So some of the smaller restaurants and those other restaurants that are actually tenant leases, they need some attention and they need some assistance. There was another question that I had, and it just escaped me. Airbnb. So yeah, Airbnb is definitely up. I actually had to close my Airbnb down because I'm not renting to anybody during this COVID period. But yes, there's a ton of inquiries happening on Airbnb. So I can tell you, as somebody who's part of that program, that it is spiking. So thank you for the update, and let's see what we can do to help the smaller guys. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions for Amanda? No? Okay, Amanda, thank you.
And if I could just make one more comment relative to the restaurants, because Joe brought up a good point, because even on June 23rd, which is the forecasted phase 3 for us, we're going out of the gate most likely at a 50% occupancy, which means that, you know, like Joe said, it's not going to be easy for some of these restaurants, and not to bring this down a little bit, but it's also incredibly hard for these restaurants to bring back people who've been collecting such a hefty unemployment compensation and over the last 3 months. So it's a little difficult, but, you know, again, it's a step in the right direction. But June 23rd would be when those indoor opportunities arise. I feel, though, Joe, that the 50% is not for outdoors. The outdoor is 6 feet apart. The tables have to be, unless Bill knows differently about the outdoor requirements.
No, that's absolutely the case on outdoor. As you said, it's really about distance from each other. I think I mentioned earlier in response to Legislator O'Donnell's question, but you have to be seated actually at a table or a bar outside. So that's key. A lot of places are not doing that already. We're seeing that, you know, that's one thing. But one other distinction I want to make on the interior is the 50% capacity issue. I want to be clear, it's 50% of the capacity based upon your certificate of occupancy. So if your CO says you have 80 people in there, you can have 40 seated. Usually that amount, the CO occupancy max, is usually much higher than someone's interior seating capacity. You know, because the restaurant it depends on where they put tables and all that. So they may say, I can fit 40 seats total, but their occupancy based upon their CO could be, again, 60, 80, and it's half of that. So it doesn't, with some restaurants I've talked to when I've clarified that, it softens it a little bit. It's not just 50% of what they're used to oftentimes. That's clear.
If I may just chime in as part of those. So the restaurateurs that I spoke with, they told me even the outdoor seating, it just wasn't worth it for them to even open up because their overhead is way too much to be able to do that. What we're finding, even New York City restaurants, they are renegotiating with their landlords who are renegotiating their leases because basically they're going to have 50% occupancy. Having been in the restaurant business growing up, I can tell you that you make your money based on turnover of tables and number of seats that you have in the place. You want to pack it. So if they're only 50% of their maximum occupancy, that's 50% or less of their business. And that's where the make and break point are in a lot of these restaurants. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. I see Tom Fagione has his hand up there. Tom, you there?
Yeah, Chairman, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Chairman, I just want to thank Amanda and her staff. We all were able to receive the packet and look through it. And I just want to remind all the legislators as we get ready to roll up our new economy that the map that's provided, the new map, is fantastic. Get a chance to look at it. It's innovative, creative, and it's kind of fun. And I just want to compliment her for a great job with the map. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Okay, other questions? Nope. Okay, Amanda, thank you. Appreciate the update. And,
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Next up, we have set a public hearing for the 2020-21 OC budget. Antoinette, are you here to speak to this?
I am, and I checked with Jean, who checked with the college, and we're proposing August 6th, 2020, which is a Thursday at 3:15, and that would be before our legislative session.
Okay, so we need a motion to set the public hearing.
Yep.
So moved, Cheney.
All right, Jeannie, can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Tortel.
Tortel, okay, Jeannie, Tortel. Any discussion?
But I have something on that booklet they gave us on the budget request. All right. Is anybody from the college on this, Chairman?
What's that?
Is anybody from the college with us?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so anyway, I'll give you a call, Paul, because there's a couple of discrepancies in this booklet they gave us. All right. On the budget. So I'd rather have them take care of it before the public hearing than bring it up at the public hearing. They can correct it ahead of time. But
Mr. O'Donnell, this is
Yeah.
Antoinette Reed. Our auditors are just starting their review of the budget. They started out there today. So, just to let you know that, if you have any concerns, you could, raise it with them as well.
All right, I'll give you a call tomorrow, Antoinette. Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, bye.
Yeah, I do know, there's still a lot of uncertainty with the state funding. It's part of the college's problem. And the state so far hasn't given any kind of indication as to when they're gonna get, any kind of final answer, so.
I understand that, but some of the numbers in the booklet they gave out don't match up, so,
Okay, well, we can talk about it.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna call the questions. Can we get a roll call, Kelly?
Yes, Cheney,
Yes.
Menuda,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes,
Sassy. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, yes, that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay, Stiganga,
Thank you. That's me, yes.
okay, Sierra, I think Joel is gone. Okay, Tortel
Yes.
and Riskevich.
Yes.
Okay, and Sierra again. I think he's off the call. All right, so we have 7 ayes.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's it for our agenda, so I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Hotel.
Second,
Tortel.
Menuda.
Menuda. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.